Welcome to the Big Four Accounting Firms podcast, brought to you by big4accountingfirms.com. We have a great show today, but before we get to that, I wanted to remind you of a few things. We have 2 great books on Amazon that will help you get the Big Four job that you deserve, and I've included links to those books in the show notes. Additionally, I wanted to remind everyone to make sure that they subscribe to this podcast to stay up to date on the latest Big Four news and career tips. Also, make sure to share the show with a friend if you get a chance. Lastly, follow us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. I'll include links to all our social media in the show notes. Thanks and enjoy the show. Today I wanted to discuss a new audit technology developed by Deloitte. The name of the new audit technology is Auvenir. Now, what is Auvenir? Auvenir is a technology that Deloitte has developed internally, and they developed internally by creating a startup within Deloitte. And the reason that they created it is because there was a Deloitte executive that was losing sleep over the potential for technology to replace auditors and accountants like Deloitte. Think of what Uber did to the taxi industry, what Amazon is doing to Walmart. That is what Deloitte was afraid would happen to them in the accounting industry if they weren't creating new audit technology like Auvenir. In order to figure out how Deloitte could be replaced by technology, this internal startup company hired actual entrepreneurs and experienced startup personnel. And all the technology developed by this startup was not Deloitte technology, but was instead technology only developed for Auvenir. The way it was built up was by interviewing smaller audit firms and clients. And as Deloitte interviewed these smaller firms and clients, they realized that there wasn't technology that existed or was suitable for smaller firms. There were really only audit technologies that existed to meet the needs of large accounting firms and large clients. Now, how does the technology work? The platform uses cloud-based storage, machine learning, and artificial intelligence to improve workflow and collaboration between auditors and their clients. And there are 3 main components to the machine learning feature that set it apart from other auditing technologies. The first feature is the automation and standardization of data going into the audit software. The software helps import data from accounting packages and banks so that the import of data does not have to be performed manually. And that allows the data to come in a standardized format, and more importantly, allows auditors to understand the format so the auditors know where the data is coming from. And the second part of the machine learning feature is helping audit firms with their decision making as far as their testing goes. Now, the software allows auditors to decide exactly what tests they want to run on the accounting data and how they want to run those tests. And lastly, the machine learning component helps auditors judge whether there is a low or high risk from the trends they are seeing. It utilizes past experience from other auditors to help the user identify high risk and low risk areas, instead of the auditor having to start a risk assessment from scratch every single time. Now, a concern that has been brought up is where this data will be hosted. Because as you may remember, Deloitte has had a cyber attack recently, and the team that manages Auvenir said that the Auvenir solution will be hosted in a different system than where Deloitte's email servers are hosted. So there's nothing to be concerned about. Now, to learn more about Deloitte's data breach, visit our coverage of the hack, and I'll include the links to that in the show notes. In conclusion, it seems like Deloitte is becoming the most progressive Big Four company, and they are trying to get into every professional services field and every professional service technology solution possible. And this is proven by their latest investment in Auvenir. It has been previously proven too by their acquisition of marketing companies. And marketing is not a traditional field for accountants. And we've covered their acquisition of marketing firms in previous podcasts. And I'll include a link to our coverage of that acquisition in the show notes. And I also think there's another reason that Deloitte is offering this technology to smaller firms. I think they are hoping that those smaller audit firms increase to a size where Deloitte can acquire them. And I don't think Deloitte is developing this technology to build up its competition. I think they're trying to build up smaller firms and then they'll acquire them. Deloitte's development of Auvenir and movement into other professional services shows that they are trying to remain the #1 accounting firm. I also think that it's important for all Big Four candidates and professionals to learn about the new technologies that the Big Four firms are developing in order to progress in their careers. If you learn about their newest offerings, you can make sure that you end up in the right firm and in the right group in the right firm, so that your career can be on the fastest track possible. Now, in order to stay up to date on the latest Big Four news, make sure to subscribe to this podcast. We'd also appreciate it if you could share this podcast with a friend and provide us with a review on iTunes, because that would help us to continue to provide you with the best Big Four content and news possible. Thanks for listening.